Welcome to the From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market podcast with your host, Phil Crowley. In each episode, we will discuss professionals serving the tech startup market and the various issues of importance to those companies. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com. Now here's the host of From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market, Phil Crowley.
Hello, and thanks for tuning into our podcast. We look to bring you leaders in life sciences and technology who can share their perspectives on those areas. Items that lead to success, mistakes to avoid, issues to be aware of, in order to demystify the process and help you on your journey as a tech entrepreneur to lead to success, hopefully taking your ideas to enrich the lives of thousands or even millions of people. Today, I'm delighted to have as my guest Sean Hanlon, who is the founder and chief investment officer of VestGen Investment Management. It's a wealth management firm with several $1 billion of investments under management. And Professor George Calhoun, who's the director of the Hanlon Financial Systems Center at Stevens Institute of Technology, my alma mater. Both Sean and George have been intimately involved in participating in and facilitating the fintech revolution, and they're two of my favorite experts on fintech. Also, stay tuned because at the end of the discussion, I'll ask George and Sean to share a couple of issues, tips, success factors that can help you on your journey in this area. Sean, George, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here, Phil.
Sean, let's start with you. Please tell us a little bit about your background and experience and what brought you to be involved in financial technology and wealth management?
Yeah, so Phil, I have an engineering degree, so I'm kind of inclined to be analytical. I've been associated with Wall Street and wealth management for over 40 years. But as the internet evolved and as technology became more available, we saw in our industry in wealth management huge efficiencies and huge scalability to improve the product that we deliver to our clients. So it was really something that you had to participate in to keep up and be competitive and continue to deliver a great product to the client.
So it's kind of be there or be square, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen a lot over the years, and I'm sure we'll get into talking about that.
Sure. George, what about your journey? How did you come to this wonderful institution, Stevens Institute of Technology, and focusing your efforts on financial systems?
Well, I've had two careers. The first one was in the tech industry, in the wireless end of the tech industry, the high-tech technology that makes all of our wireless systems today work that we're so totally dependent upon. After about 25 years in that world, I decided to shift back to a different lifestyle, I'll call it. And Stevens is looking to build a business school with a focus on business plus technology, and that fit the bill. In my earlier career, I had been involved a lot as a customer of the finance world. We did 6 public offerings in companies that I was part of, and many other financial arrangements that gave me at least a rough familiarity. So coming to Stevens, as Stevens was building the business school, right here, I'm looking at Manhattan out of my window, 12 minutes away. It was a natural growth path for the university to add finance plus technology, and this has now 20 years later become a fintech focus that we're really building on.
Well, you've got a tremendous technology background, George. And, we all hear these buzzwords in the popular press: fintech, quants, geeks, whatever you call them. How would you define fintech?
Well, the quick answer is it's digital finance, which is a pretty broad umbrella that covers almost anything in finance these days. And that's the relevance of fintech, is it's the application of advanced technology to all the traditional finance functions, whether it's insurance or asset management, wealth management, which Sean is certainly going to have some words on that, trading. All the functions in finance are in a disruptive state right now as new technology is coming in and transforming the way they do their business, and in some cases, transforming the business model and leading to innovative new services entirely.
What are some of the most exciting areas that you see in fintech today? And I'd like to invite Sean to add his thoughts as well.
Well, I'd say fintech, for me, as I look at it, divides into two sort of very broad categories of interest. One is a set of technologies that basically are automating, to use the old-fashioned word, automating traditional processes, whether it's trading or payments, insurance, underwriting, compliance is a big one. The industries that have to deal with, in the regulated finance world, a lot of compliance questions. So automating that, there are a lot of functions in that area. The other thing that I see, though, in fintech, which is, I think, more revolutionary, is a phenomenon that goes under sometimes a strange name of tokenization, creating digital assets or turning conventional assets into digital assets. And what that means is that you can take something like the real estate records for the state of New Jersey, and instead of having them as paper records or legacy computer files, they can be that are very cumbersome to utilize, costly, time consuming. You can shift all of that into a digital form where they can be handled in a much more efficient way. It's a species of automation, but it's also more revolutionary because it leads to things that are truly new.
Does that implicate some of the things that we've heard about blockchain, or is blockchain something separate?
No, blockchain is one of the blockchain technologies are the basis of a lot of the tokenization initiatives. That's correct.
All right. And what about in the practical world that you inhabit, Sean? How does fintech help wealth managers do a better job for investors?
Yeah. So when I think about the journey that we've been on in asset management and wealth management, I think back to the early 2000s when we were running what are referred to as genetic algorithms on doing analysis, scenario analysis, to look for optimal techniques to manage portfolios. And back then, computers were so slow that we would launch the genetic algorithms and we let them run all night and come back in the morning and then see what the results were. And so the just compute power has improved so tremendously for that raw brute force capability that we rely on computers and software to take care of, using massive amounts of data. Mm-hmm. The second and more recent thing, Phil, is artificial intelligence and these large language models, the natural language processing, and how not only are we in the wealth management business able to now handle massive amounts of data and do analysis, whether it be across a client's holdings, be across your entire practice, be across an entire wealth management company such as VestGen Wealth Partners, but also it's helping us with recommendations. It's helping us cull through a ton of information and then providing to us, the wealth manager, recommendations for us to ponder, maybe tweak some, and then act on, or at least present to the client.
Well, I've heard some of those advertisements that you must have heard as well about trading systems that use artificial intelligence, and you can download the app and connect up your trading accounts and just like file and forget and make enormous amounts of money. Does this mean the end of the individual wealth investor, wealth manager?
I don't think so, Phil. And it's interesting. There are some very substantial, as you would imagine, hedge funds out there. I won't name any of them on this podcast, but nonetheless, believe me, they're deep into these AI money management techniques, asset management techniques, trading techniques. And so far, they're not demonstrating any particular value beyond the traditional approaches that asset managers have used. But it is early innings. The other thing too, Phil, from a technology standpoint, is this quantum computing. Mm-hmm. Quantum computing is still a number of years away, and I'm not going to quote how many years because there's too many variables out there. You hear 3-4 years, then somebody says a decade or more. But nonetheless, talk about being able to handle massive amounts of data. So perhaps when we get to that level, and combined with the large language model, natural language processing, artificial intelligence, maybe there'll be an edge. But so far, no edge is detectable from artificial intelligence in helping people make more money in the markets and portfolios.
Well, it seems to me that human beings like you, I mean, there's a human element to dealing with people and their money that I just don't know the extent to which an automated system or even artificial intelligence with quantum computing would be able to deal with. I mean, aren't there human aspects to helping people feel comfortable about their portfolio and that sort of thing?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's really broken into 3 areas. There's the actual portfolio management and the delivering of returns for your clients. Then there's the relationship management, which you were just talking about there, Phil, right? The psychology of investing, the psychology of handling clients. A client trusts a human being far more than it trusts a computer. And a human being can inspire people to do things, to take action. And then the third one, Phil, is the servicing, right? In our industry, like in so many industries, we've been buried with paperwork, buried with processes, buried with compliance measures. And that's an area where agentic artificial intelligence, where these agents are put in place to take over some of this manual work and do it perhaps much more efficiently, much more accurately, much more consistently. And so that's a big area that we're seeing is the service side of wealth management is where artificial intelligence is probably going to go the fastest.
I see. And that certainly mirrors some of the experiences that we've heard about of the use of artificial intelligence in the back office. And of course, a wealth manager like you has not only a very extensive record-keeping requirement, but very stringent regulatory requirements. And it seems to me from a quality systems perspective, and I tend to look at this, from the perspective of the life sciences as well, having robust systems in place can be a real benefit to a company in avoiding errors and certainly avoiding regulatory penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. And our regulations are massive and somewhat, unfortunately, constantly changing, and not to a large degree, but enough to get your attention. And then, of course, with all these new fintech areas coming into place, well, they need regulations. So, whether it be crypto, Bitcoin, or whatever it may be, they need regulations. So I think the artificial intelligence will be a real game changer on helping out and keeping folks A, compliant, and B, more efficient to be able to do what we in the wealth management business are always trying to do, and that is find time to serve and be in front of our clients, right? Everybody in the service business is trying to find that time to spend with their clients. And if we can have artificial intelligence jump in and help us with some of the manual labor or some of the mundane, although incredibly important and routine tasks, it'll be a real benefit to all of our wealth management clients.
Oh, that's fascinating, Sean. Let me just take a moment here. I'd like to acquaint our audience with Crowley Law. We are a boutique firm of very experienced lawyers who are passionate about helping innovators in the life sciences and other technologies avoid being taken advantage of as they pursue their dreams. You know, one of the things that causes me a great deal of sadness is to see innovators who don't get good, experienced business lawyers involved with them early enough, and as a result, wind up being taken advantage of by savvy investors, institutions, and vendors. And I think that's very unfair. So we focus and work on that. In addition, we have a website, CrowleyLawLLC.com, where we have a library of materials that our clients and others have found very useful, one of which is an ebook, The Top 10 Causes of Failure for Technology Startups and How to Avoid Them, which delineates some of the problems and errors that companies can make early in the development process that can really constrain their growth in the long term. So we really appreciate your visiting the website, taking a look at some of those resources. And if you have questions, please contact us at info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Well, let's get back to our discussion of fintech. And you mentioned some of those new financial ideas, crypto, and that sort of thing. I'd like to go back to George and ask you a little bit about what types of developments and research and innovations you're seeing with respect to the crypto space. We've heard a lot about that, and a lot about the current administration after President Trump became president of the United States, about his desire to make the United States the crypto capital of the world. Can you give us kind of an outline of some of the issues that arise with respect to cryptocurrencies?
Oh my goodness. Well, as Sean said, you start with the fact that it's a wild west right now. It's unregulated. Mm-hmm. The regulators have, I think, have really abdicated their responsibility to take the initiative in certain ways. And I won't go into all the critiques I could, but the effect is that you've got still there are practices that are permitted in the crypto world that have long ago been banned or regulated very tightly in the traditional finance world. And, you know, I don't know why we have to go through crashing into the wall over and over again to realize that you're going to need some guardrails.
Right.
So, you know, that's sort of the immediate picture, I would say. But, you know, those things will take their place, and some of the advantages of crypto will start to solidify. One development that I think bears watching, I don't know quite what to think of it entirely, but is the what's called central bank digital currency. The idea that the Federal Reserve or other central banks may develop their own crypto, let's call it, or their own version of the dollar, a digital dollar that would have certain benefits and certain great risks potentially as well. And everybody's kind of circling the issue and moving very cautiously on it. But China has done some experimentation with a digital version of their currency. There are a couple other countries, the Bahamas have done it. There are a couple of other countries that are examining it, and you have to think that at some point, maybe it's going to be at the level of the reserves in the bank. Maybe it's going to be for wholesale digital currency exchanges between major banks, major institutions. Anyhow, that's one of the topics that I think in the next few years is going to start to be both more legitimate and more substantive in terms of crypto, as opposed to just the casino mentality that you kind of going today.
Yes. Well, as a lawyer, I can tell you that I would certainly have concerns on the privacy issue. One of the features of a digital currency that an authoritarian government like the Chinese People's Republic of China could do is they could track your purchases and kind of give you a citizenship score based on what purchases you make, because they'd be able to see whatever purchases you had made. And I think that some people who are thought leaders in privacy have raised that issue as to how do you protect the privacy of individual transactions when you have this central database of information that can be tracked. And as we well know, as we've seen, government databases are not completely secure, and information from those databases can leak. And how comfortable would people be with having all their transactions available on the internet? So those are some of the questions that I look at and would be concerned about from a legal perspective for any type of digital currency that's centrally managed.
Yeah, Phil, you just touched on a major topic in wealth management, which is privacy. Mm-hmm. And for us in wealth management to get the most out of artificial intelligence needs to know a lot of non-public information about our clients. And so very important topic is the privacy. Our firm right now, VestGen Wealth Partners, we're engaged in some artificial intelligence providers going through our due diligence of who to select. And believe me, privacy is tied for number one on our list of critical topics for us to go forward.
Well, in the old days, people would say, well, we can segregate our data by having it on a server here in our establishment. But these days, even if you do that, your server is attached to the internet. And so there's leakage there. And then some firms will contract with Microsoft or Oracle to have so-called dedicated servers that are secured, they say, although we're all relying on the service providers to provide assurances of security, assurances of confidentiality. And it gets into a very difficult legal area when something happens, and then we have laws that require notification of people when there has been a data breach, and which can result in tremendous expenses, some of which now cyber insurers are pulling back a little bit from the market. And I have seen that cyber insurers have questionnaires to determine which companies they will insure. And if you can't pass their basic quality tests about the security that you have at your particular area, in your firm, they may not write the cyber insurance. What's your experience been with respect to looking at cyber insurance, Sean?
Well, it's out there, and it's funny you bring that up because back in 2009, our company was expanding very rapidly, billions of assets under management, and we wanted our clients to have online access. And 2009 was still early days for online access to accounts, et cetera. So we went out to try to secure cyber insurance, couldn't get it, couldn't find it. It was too early. The underwriters hadn't seen enough data to be able to price it right. So I actually established my own insurance company, a captive 831B micro captive insurance company to get my own cyber insurance. But there is cyber insurance for sure available today. But you are correct, Phil. It's not available from all companies, and the pricing on it varies rather tremendously. So
I know that the state of New Jersey has been very active in trying to stimulate fintech in New Jersey, and they initiated this NJ Fast program where Stevens is actually the center of this particular activity for the state. George, can you tell us a little bit about NJ Fast and where it stands today?
Well, first I can tell you that the NJ Fast semi-annual event is taking place right now, literally right now, in another part of Stevens. I had to race away from it to come over to do this conference. NJ Fast is a combination of, I would call it a venture capital engine, an accelerator for new ventures, and a connection with the state of New Jersey to sort of pull the whole chain along from the idea stage to the point where it's creating jobs in the state of New Jersey. And the focus is specifically on fintech. Their ambition, I would say, if it's stated in the broadest terms, is they would like to create a Silicon Valley type fintech innovation hub in northern New Jersey, which is, of course, effectively a part of New York City. And so it's in the financial center. Right. And New Jersey is they issued a request for proposal. Stevens responded to that request after going back and forth on it. We put together and launched NJ Fast with two other partners. Prudential Insurance is the lead corporate partner, and there's a company called PlugandPlay, which your audience may not be familiar with, but they are the largest VC and the largest accelerator in the country and probably in the world. They have a worldwide footprint, and they're driving the process to pull in new venture propositions, vet them. Stevens is involved in that. We also place students with these venture firms. The headquarters of it is about 2 blocks down the road from Stevens right now. And like I said, literally right now, this afternoon, we're reviewing the second cohort of 20 venture firms, venture ideas that have come through, starting from about 500, have been winnowed down to 20, and we'll get down to, in the end, probably 12 that'll go through the accelerator cycle on this cohort. So
wow, this is very exciting, George. George, as your tip to innovators, how do they get involved in the accelerator process with PlugandPlay and NJ Fast?
Well, PlugandPlay has evolved their model where they go out aggressively to search for these and harvest these venture propositions from their worldwide network. And they have, among other things, they have about 600 large corporate partners that also provide a funnel of ideas, because I think the real payoff, what's different now, as I view it, from the venture capital world as it was 20, 25 years ago when I was more involved in that, is it's become industrialized. It used to be kind of a cottage industry of a few small entities with a few smart guys that would, and now they've got a business that is incredible. He just put up a figure just before I came here. They've gone through 95,000 ventures in their cycle, 95,000, and they have something like 50 unicorns in the portfolio, $1 billion. Yeah,
so worth $1 billion each.
Yeah. So they source from all over. They bring them through a process. There are companies that came from Germany, from Israel, from all parts of the United States, quite a few from the New Jersey area. All they have to do to play in our sandbox is that they have to commit some type of business presence in the state of New Jersey as they go through the accelerator process. And that's not hard to do because this is the financial center of the world right here, and it makes every bit of sense for them to have at least, let's say, a sales office or some kind of R&D function close to the customers.
How can our viewers obtain more information about NJ Fast and this particular program?
Well, I think if you Google NJ Fast, you will land on the very first hit that Google will turn up is the NJ Fast website. You can Google the Stevens NJ Fast as well. Will get you into the same thought process. So it's not hard to find.
Well, this has been terrific. Well, the time has really flown by, and I hope and thank you, George and Sean, for sharing your perspectives. This has been fascinating for me. I hope it was fascinating for our viewers. If you have liked this to our viewers, please subscribe to the podcast and visit our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com. We have a whole library of resources and opportunity for you to ask questions at info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. And just remember, we're here to help. Thank you.
You've been tuning into the From Lab to Patient, Garage to Market podcast with your host, Phil Crowley. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe, like, leave a positive review, and share with others.